Happy July, first day. We are setting off into the second half of the year, which is crazy. How did that happen so fast? Happy Thursday. We had to move one of our chat-e's because I was running a little behind the other day. So today we're doing it instead. So couldn't be more excited to have you all here. Thank you for all the continuous support, and let's get started. Wonderful. Should get us connected in a second. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Every time I will turn my volume down for other purposes, and then whenever someone responds to me, I can't hear as well. I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So happy that we're able to connect. I'm so sorry for having to reschedule, but thank you for being flexible.
Oh, you're good. No.
You're back home now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let's get started. I'm going to start off with a little intro just to chat into you. Go ahead and add anything else that you feel like I missed, and then we'll get started into the questions.
Sure.
All right. Awesome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Chat E. For anyone who has not tuned in before, my name is Ellie, and Chat E is an opportunity for young entrepreneurs, content creators, and people that are just creating change and doing cool things in their community to talk and share their story. My guest this evening is Amos Privette, who is a Floridian English teacher currently. He is thriving, surviving, and doing so many cool things, being such an influence and changing the world for his students, and I know everyone around him. I'm pretty sure I came across you. I'm pretty sure it was on Instagram, but potentially on TikTok. Are you TikToking or no?
Yeah, I do TikTok too.
Then it might have been on TikTok or maybe both. It's been a while.
TikTok, honestly.
It was probably TikTok. Well, anyway, we connected a while ago, have been chatting it up, and I'm really excited to hear your story about your teaching journey and just all that you do, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, you're welcome. So I'm also a teacher, and this
is
really? Yes, I just got my first teaching job, or I'll be a first year teacher officially. I've subbed and worked abroad in different things, but I'm going to be teaching second grade.
Oh my God, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, very excited. So it'll be super fun. And then I'm doing summer school, so just started that today, and everything's absolutely nuts. They're trying to figure it out, but no one has any idea what's going on.
Oh, this is cool. I didn't know you were a teacher. This makes it way better.
Oh my gosh, no, I love talking with teachers because I feel like everyone has such a different creative outlet and means of expressing themselves and connecting with their kids and doing all kinds of things. And there's a lot of things I saw on your profile and through things that you've done that I want to use and talk to you about. So very excited for that. So do you have anything else you want to add, or are you ready to get started?
I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. So do you want to just share with us, for anyone that doesn't know, just about what you're teaching and how you kind of got started in that as your career path?
Yeah, sure. So I teach high school right now. I teach predominantly 9th grade English, and then I also actually teach debate, which is an elective course for us. So it's an academic elective. So any grades 9 through 12 can take it. It's also a repeating course, so they can take debate 1, 2, 3, and 4 with me. I used to teach it as a real debate curriculum where, you go against other people. I'm changing it this year, so I'm actually going to be changing it to mock trial, which is
cool.
Court. If you've never done that before, it's
yeah,
law pretty much. So yeah.
You're right. I think I participated in something of that sort in 10th grade social studies, something of the sort, but other than that I haven't done anything like that.
Yeah, it's we have a club for it too, so they can do that, but I have a class as well. So
that's so cool. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. So for all of the debate topics and stuff, how do you guys kind of go about, I guess mock trial might be some things that are going on in real life and where you would side and all of those things, but how do you kind of come up with what you guys are going to be discussing?
Yeah, so there's it's funny you asked that because debate and mock trial are very different, by the way. Mock trial, like I said, is fake court, and it's almost a sport pretty much. So the state comes up with a case. So the state of Florida, and every state has a mock trial, by the way. And so the entire state of Florida, every high school will work with the same case, and then they'll go to competition at the end of the year. So that's a little different. And you work with one case per year. The debate is a little different. I actually didn't do debate in high school. I did mock trial. That's kind of why I want to switch it to mock trial.
Right.
Debate is great, and I love, like, it's really cool. I will be honest though, it's really hard.
I can't imagine.
So, yeah, as someone who did not teach or do debate before I came into this position, it was a lot of work. Like, I had to teach everything to myself. And
Sure.
I think a lot of people get the impression that you can just do fun debate topics, and that's cool, and you can absolutely do that, like make it like pretty chill, you know.
Sure.
But for me, I'm like, and a lot of people don't know this, debate's like a real sport as well. Like, it's a competitive thing that you go against people from other schools. So myself, I'm like, okay, well, if we're doing this, we're doing it for real. So people are always like, well, why don't you just do something fun? And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Like, you can't really just do it for fun. You have to know the rules, the strategies. Like, it's a whole nother thing. And with debate too, it's a national thing. So the topics that come out for debate are listed every other month. So we don't get to pick the topics. They give us the topic every other month. You practice, you rehearse for 2 months, and then you go to competition.
That's so cool. I feel like I've only like seen little blurbs and like things like that on certain movies, but I didn't know it was super competitive like that.
Yeah, it's scary, honestly. That's like, if I was a high school student, I would not do it. Not discouraging it. It's great. You will be very prepared, but it is hard.
Yeah, and what made you decide to take that on?
When I got hired, they just said, yeah, do you want to do it? And I said, sure.
There you go. Flexibility, right? Being a teacher, that's one of the most important things, is being flexible. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think the reason why I said yes was because it was an elective. So I was like, oh, cool, it's not English, which I love teaching English, but like an elective, I've never had that before. And obviously now I got to like change it, and I'm the only mock trial / debate teacher there is at our school. So that's I'm the whole program. So I get to do whatever I want, kind of, which for that, it's worth it.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's awesome. And you probably learned so much about the kids and just about like everything going on in the world too through all of that. That's like a completely different experience.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very applicable to a lot of things while it is an elective, and you don't use, I guess, necessarily debate or mock trial maybe every day in your life. I think a lot of the skills are very applicable, and the kids will use them moving forward. And it's just a lot of critical thinking, which is good for them.
Totally. And I also think because you said it's like a competition, it's serious. Like, most of the people that are there want to be there because they have to work at it. Like, they have to figure it out.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And when I did debate, because I taught that for 2 years, when I did debate, it was very hard for them to get into it because it's so much work. And again, not that it's a bad thing, but I can make the kids get motivated into mock trial because I'm really into it, and I did it, and I love it, and I think it's fun. So again, it's not that I don't think debate is worth it. Every school should have a debate program if they should, or if they can. I'm more passionate about mock trial, and I know how to get the kids motivated, and we had a competition team this year. So like, that's kind of just why I want to transfer it.
Yeah, totally. That passion behind it is everything, and they can sense that from you, and seeing that you're having fun with it too, them probably enjoy it so much more. So good for you. That's awesome. Finding something you're passionate about and connecting with your kids. Seriously, that's how we do it. That's amazing. You said that you're teaching English, and then teaching English and then to ninth graders. I can't even imagine working with kids that age. So crazy. I'm with the small people. So how did you decide on your like subject that you wanted to teach, where you wanted to go, what avenue with that, and then that age group?
So I didn't decide to do teaching until I was in college. My dad was actually a teacher growing up. Like, he was a teacher his whole life, and I knew that was always like an option, but I didn't really want to do it. I went into college like with a marketing major, took like one class and was like, yeah, no. So dropped that. And then I took a few English courses that I really liked. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this is really cool. And I've never learned it like this. Don't know why I didn't do this in high school. And I've always liked like working with younger groups of people. You would not catch me dead in an elementary school. I could not do that. But
and so many people will say it vice versa all the time when you talk to kids. Yeah,
right. For different people, which is good. But I think I just realized that the subject area of English was actually cool and very applicable, and I just loved the critical thinking behind it. And I feel like it helped me develop as a person. So I was like, I think I could do this. So yeah, I didn't pick teaching until about like the end of my sophomore year of college.
Okay. And we're still learning, right? You could change your career path and like want to go into being an astronaut sometime soon if you wanted to, honestly.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I tell people this all the time. I don't think I'm going to do teaching forever.
Me neither.
I think it's
Me either.
awesome. I don't think this is where I'm going to end up forever,
No.
which I knew that going into it too. So
Me too. 100%.
I think I'm sure there's a lot of people that do and obviously retire into the career. But I don't know how long I'll do it. I'm happy doing it right now. And so that's kind of, yeah, long term, this isn't going to be it, I don't think.
No, absolutely. And it's good to be transparent with other people, but also just with yourself. I feel the same way, but 100%, like, and I just got my first job, but I'm just like, forever, no way. But like, you know, I'm really excited for it. And I love the school that I'm at. It'll be great. But as a teacher, like for other people, even when they see your resume or if you're working for yourself or whatever, being a teacher means you're able to like teach people things, right? Whether it be kids, whether it be in a marketing setting, in a sales setting, in an entrepreneur setting, like you are able to bring your skills, your people skills, your teacher skills to any setting and any job. So truly, it's a really beneficial profession.
Yeah, I think if you can do teaching well, I think you can do a lot of other things as well. So it's not, the skill set there is not bad to have.
No, absolutely not. Awesome. Well, so I don't know about in your school in general, but do you have a lot of males that are teaching in your school, or is it mostly females?
I would say it's different based on the department. So for example, in the English, like for the 9th grade English teachers, I'm the only male teacher. The rest of them are all women. I would say, like, for example, if you look at the social studies department, there's a lot more male teachers there. So I think it just depends kind of on where. I'm surrounded by a lot of women when it comes to my specific department.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it just depends on where you're looking at.
Yeah. No, the reason I'm asking is because at the school I'm at, there's one kindergarten teacher that's a guy and the PE teacher. Everyone else is women. And males, when they're teachers, bring so many awesome things to the table. I just think it's like a different kind of influence. And of course, all the women are killing it too, being awesome teachers. But I just think that's super special. And I guess it's also different when the kids are older too. Like teachers are teaching different things versus like, you know, wanting to work with little kids. But what do you think, just as a teacher, as a male, like in the school, that you are able to bring to the table and bring to your classroom? It doesn't just have to be like a gender identification thing, just like overall, what do you feel like you can bring to the table?
Yeah, I think, well, I will definitely say too, I think in your case, you have a lot of female teachers, mainly because you work predominantly with the younger generation or the younger group.
They're small, yeah.
So
totally.
A lot of
I agree.
You'll definitely find more women within that field than men, which too, when you really think about it, like, not to say this like in a whatever way, but when you have men that apply for especially elementary ed positions, it's a lot more competitive for the women in that case because they will hire a man if they can. And that's not something I really thought about going into education. And it's a little different when you think about secondary, but especially in elementary, like they love hiring men.
They need them.
They know they don't get a lot. So that's something that was like, I didn't really think about when I was going into it until I became a teacher. You know, when I don't know, I guess I have a better opportunity to connect with some of the guys. Not saying that women can't, because there's a lot of women that probably connect with the guys better than I do. But I will say, I don't think it's necessarily because I'm a guy, but I do think there's an advantage to teaching as a young teacher. Yeah, I think there I pull a lot of advantages. Honestly, as a guy though, I don't think there's much for me. At least. Maybe there is for other people. I don't know. But for me, I think I pull more of the advantages as a young teacher rather than a male teacher. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a really good point. And when I wrote the question and thought about it, I wasn't really even thinking about it that way. It's more so at my school, I was like, there's 2 male teachers, and there's just, you know, like you said, it's very, as soon as one signs up and is applying, they do hire them, of course, because they want it. But that's a really good point. And it's not at all about the gender either. It's about connecting. But as you get older and having both male and female teachers too, for the kids, it is probably good for them to be able to connect, and someone who's closer to them in age.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's like on your end as or what you've seen so far as an
Mhm.
elementary school teacher, because obviously your mindset there is obviously towards a much younger population.
Right.
But as a high school teacher, I think I carry a lot of advantages because I'm younger
Totally.
versus my other coworkers,
Mhm.
to be completely honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. I think I just have a lot of energy, so I'm just like, because I'm like all the time, but you have to like sometimes, change that voice. You have to be in a good mood. It's a very different dynamic, 100%.
Yeah, no, absolutely it is.
You got to bring it all to the table just in completely different ways.
Yeah.
Um, so just a question below. This is a good one. I'm going into my first classroom next year, and I've been assigned poetry as my main unit. I'm passionate about it, but how do you get your students motivated?
Um, That's a good question. I really like poetry, actually. I tell the kids when we first do it, I really like teaching poetry because it's a lot. First of all, the kids, a lot of them don't like to read, especially in an English class. What I really like to do for poetry, though, is be honest with them about it and be like, hey, guess what? If you don't like this poem after today, we probably don't ever have to look at it again, right? You're done with it. And I like that because you can break it up. And you're like, hey, you liked this one? Cool.
Yeah.
You didn't like this one? That's fine too. Guess what? We don't have to think about it again. So finding honestly short poetry, I think, is very motivating for the kids. And I know that's an unfortunate thing to think about when you're the greats of what poetry is, right? But for me, when I teach ninth grade, I have to think of things that are very quick and that will keep their attention because their attention span is like that long, right? So I don't have a lot of time to work. Like if I'm going to sit there and try to teach Paradise Lost by Milton, it's not going to happen. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
For ninth graders. But what I can do is we find a lot of modern poetry too. Um, I
Relatable stuff too.
Yeah, and I have a lot of poetry that is still very well written, but it doesn't always sound like poetry. So if you really want to do poetry, I would say maybe start with free verse. A lot of the things that people get caught up on with poetry is the language of it. If it sounds like something they can't understand, they automatically give up. So we do a whole novel that's written in free verse in our ninth grade curriculum, and it's called Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. It's written in 2017, so it's a very new and modern
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about a lot of things like race and gun violence in it. And it's written by a Black author who his way of speaking is very familiar with a lot of the students.
Right.
So when you do it like that, and also if you look at the pages of the actual book that we use, the poems are like this long. And
Okay.
it doesn't sound like a poem, but it is poetry. And I think that's what a lot of the kids get confused with, is that if it doesn't rhyme, it's not necessarily poetry. Well, that's not
Right.
how poetry works, right? You can find a lot of things.
I
I
love
also
that.
liked using, I've used Claudia Rankine's Citizen a lot, which is a free verse poetry as well. It talks about a lot of things with modern day racism. And for my kids, that's a very upper level, but I can pick like one piece out of that and pull it
Yeah.
for them, and make it very graspable because the language is easy. So I think people get confused if the language is too easy, it's not poetry, still poetry. So I would say pick
Right.
something like that.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to do it. What did you say, Claudia Rankin? What is it called?
It's called Citizen.
Citizen. And then what was the other one that you said?
Um, it's Jason Reynolds and it's Long Way Down. He writes a lot of good stuff though. Um, so literally, if you ever need anything from him, any of his stuff is like 10 out of 10.
Okay. Awesome.
And
Yeah,
the
I
kids
wrote them
love
down.
them.
I'll check them out.
Yeah, that book is the longest book we read. And like I said, the pages are pretty short, but it's about 300 pages, I would say. And that's the kids' like favorite book every single year. Like they always are like, are we going to finish this? Are we going to finish this? Like they're so excited for it.
That's so good. And especially when it has so many things that like I feel like especially during this pandemic and like the last year and a half, we've learned how crazy the world is, right? Like we're living in a place that's nuts and there's a lot of evil going on. There's a lot of good people and a lot of good stuff, but it's really important for them to like learn about it and for there to be a different approach to kind of introduce some of these things and connect in means of understanding and asking
Yeah,
questions and learning.
yeah, absolutely. And I think too, when you think about like poetry and how to make things kind of relevant for your kids, I think it's a lot of work on your end because you have to be the one finding that kind of stuff. It's
Right.
not going to fall out of a curriculum book a lot of times because the curriculum book is going to be Milton, it's going to be old white authors, right? So if you want to find stuff that's interesting for your kids, you can do the research. You just have to be the one to like look it up. It's just not always going to fall in your lap. And so I think you just have to know that. But if you're willing to find that stuff, I think you can. I think there's a lot of resources that people can use.
Yeah, and it's proven, right? You did exactly that, and you found something that they enjoy and that they can connect to and understand and learn from. So there you go. Nailed it. Awesome.
Yeah.
In regards to, I feel like every teacher is different in the means of the way that they teach, like they're kind of like their style and like the way they go about it. I don't even know specific teaching styles I would use as words, but what would you say, and you can kind of tangent and respond to this question however you redeem fit, but yeah, what would you say your like style of teaching is? How do you like work best?
So I think you're right. I don't think I have one word for my style. I don't even know what that would be, right? But that's a valid question. I think if you walk into my room, though, for the most part, based off of what my assistant principal or my boss has said, she always tells me it's very fast paced. And the main reason I do that is because, again, those ninth graders have the attention span of a squirrel. It is what it is. So I have to keep them interested at all times. I think this is part of the reason, too, why I don't feel like I will be teaching forever is for me, for example, is part of my style of teaching is using my personality. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but to be completely honest, some of the kids buy into me because of my personality. And like, that's how I get them interested in things. Like if I'm telling them that this is cool, this is fun, and I can make it, you know, like my kids, like one reason why I struggle sometimes with doing the work that that our PLC or our group of ninth grade teachers comes up with is because for some of them that works. You know, they can baby it down and be like, I want you to think about this. And that's cool. And that works for so many people. Right. For me, if I'm not like buying the material or the way that we're even delivering it, like I can still teach that content, but I have to change it so it fits me because it doesn't work that way. Like I have to be able to buy it for myself because the second I don't, my kids don't buy it either. Like they very much ride off of the vibes that I'm giving them. And so if I'm excited about something like you mentioned earlier, they are too, for the most part. But like I have to feel that. And a lot of that's my personality. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good answer. Maybe I should be working on skills otherwise. But like for right now, that's what I use, to be completely honest.
Well, one of the reasons, no matter what grade that you're teaching, no matter what age you're working with, you want kids to come in and trust you and connect with you and love you for being you, like laugh and have fun in your class. Like you don't want them to be like, gosh, I have this class now, right? You want them to be excited about it. And I think that's so important. And however you can bring it forth, like some of the stuff that you're teaching probably is super boring and old. So why not find a way to connect it and keep them engaged? And with kindergartners too, like they all still need, I was teaching kindergarten and they all need me. There's 20 of them and they don't understand that you can't all need me at the same time because there's only one of me. And we were like hybrid. So it was like half of them were at home. It was just a whole conniption, whole mess, but it's all fine. But yeah, it's like they love your personality and they have fun with you and they laugh and they talk to their parents about you. And even some of your kids probably go home and talk to their parents about you too. They just enjoy it, or they can like share about what they learned.
Yeah, I think too, like when I said with like the whole me not buying something that I have to teach, like I'm very honest with my students. So if I'm not buying something, like I tell them that. And I know a lot of teachers say fake it till you make it, which believe me, you have to do. But like if I'm okay. Also, if you're a teacher watching this, don't take this advice, but I'm going to tell you what I do. If I ever have to teach something that I don't like fully like, and sometimes the district will be like, hey, we need you to teach this, right? I'm sure we've all had those moments as teachers. I will tell my kids, like, this is from the district. So we're going to power through it together. And so like, even that, like, maybe it's a negative camaraderie, but like we do it together. And like, I tell them where I think something works well. that they may be presented, but I also am like, hey, I know we've done this for the third time, but they want us to do it again, so we're going to do it again. So like, I don't know, I just, the way I present it, even if I don't buy it or I don't necessarily enjoy it all the time, like I try to make it something fun that we can like do together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're seeing your transparency and that you want to be there and you want to connect with them. And that's like really the most important thing. Especially as kids get older, a lot of them are like, you know, all ages, but they're going through stuff at home too. And like sometimes that's like a big thing you learn as a teacher, that everyone has such a different home life. And even like at school, you know, people struggle in different areas. So coming in a place where like you can trust your teacher, you are comfortable with them, you can connect, you feel like they care about you.
Yeah.
Is the most important.
I think too, like you said, going back to the word style and like what style do we use? I think honestly mine is just mainly relationship building, because that's where I get a lot of the trust. So like if you focus on that first, you can get through a lot of other things. Like a lot of the other barriers, they'll trust you with because they know they have a solid relationship with you.
Totally. As I build my classroom next year, I'm like, want to build this little community. Everything I want to do, even with Chatty, is like building community, connecting with new people, and like building relationships. And like I said, I want it to be a classroom my kids don't want to leave. I want to be in here. I want the parents to come in and be pumped. I want other teachers to be like, dang, this room's cool. Like, this is fun. This is awesome. So yeah, totally agree. I think that is the most essential thing. And not everyone understands that or does that. So
no, and I think too, to be honest, like as a teacher, it's really hard to do.
It is.
And sometimes people do it very well, and sometimes, because I'm also the person too, I will be the first person to tell you, I don't like myself, because I remember being in high school, like I used to have, for example, like AP teachers where all they wanted to do was be the kid's favorite teacher, and that bothered me, because I'm like, I still need to learn something when I leave this class, and like I want to have a good relationship with you, but I also need to make sure I'm learning something. Right. So like it's a very fine line. But yeah, when you can do it well, I think that will always serve you best.
Right. And when they respect you and have that connection too, they want to listen to you. Like they want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So totally. I also think that teaching is such and this might kind of overlap a little bit, but teaching is such a way of being able to be creative and like build something. And would you say that teaching has been kind of like a creative outlet for you in regards to just like expressing and figuring some things out?
Yes. It is a very creative outlet. I would say too, again, this is one of the reasons why I took that debate elective. I feel like I get to be a lot more creative in that class just because there's no pressure of anybody above me. I will say I definitely think I get to be more creative with my personality in my ninth graders, because I will look like a complete idiot up there and I don't really care what they think. Some of them will think it's funny, some of them will think I'm an idiot. I don't really care. So I would say, yes, I very much branched my creativity due to a lot of those kids. Even just like random things like my fashion sense, like I would say a lot of them, you know, they tell me when I look good or they tell me when I don't look good. They will tell you that. So like even like stuff like that, it's just like fun to like, you know, play around with. Because for me at least, I don't take it too personally, so it's pretty like low pressure when it comes from students.
Yeah, no, totally. Just being you and being real. That's great. I saw on one of your pictures some affirmations that you were saying about yourself, and I know that's just so important. I wrote some of them down because I think this is true about you just from this like chat and just like everything that you're explaining. So I think it was, I didn't write the whole sentence down, but I've influenced my students. This summer is going to be an experience. I can complete all tasks. People think highly of me. The sun keeps me youthful. And there's one other one. And I think affirmations and those kind of things for yourself, first of all, good for you for doing that. That is something I would love to incorporate into my daily routine because it's essential. It's important. It helps you believe in yourself and that you can do it, right? But is that something that you incorporate at all into your classroom, or like something that you've got in your classrooms, or something that you've gotten from that, or just how has that come into play?
Sure. So that I actually have two. So I don't really advertise this because I don't really want to. But I actually have a teacher Instagram too that's specifically for my students. So anybody from my school is allowed to follow me. And before you question that, my boss knows, my boss follows me on there. A lot of the teachers have that kind of thing at our school. And it was very nice for like the virtual stuff that we did last year to just kind of like, you know, post some updates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when you are asking about the affirmations, I actually post quite a bit of the stuff from affirmations, but from that page that I share that stuff from. I post a lot of that on my teacher content. One, because I think it's slightly funny. I think it's slightly satirical, but two, like, it is positive stuff, so I just post it. I think it's not going to hurt anybody, so I just keep posting it.
I think it's great. No,
Yeah.
I think it's really good. I've seen on different videos and just like ways that teachers are connecting with their kids. That's something with little people too, just kind of being like, just remember, like, one day you go over that, how you're special and how you're beautiful and how you're strong, like, you know, for them to understand that, because also you don't always know where people are hearing that.
Yeah, and I'm sure too, have you seen on, okay. I'm sure you've seen on like TikTok, those elementary teachers that have like the affirmation mirrors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen like one of the teachers like DIY, that kind of stuff. I see those all the time. That's not really my style.
Yeah.
But like the things like that I post on there and like I repost from affirmations, like that's more my style for that kind of stuff.
Sure,
So like
totally.
same kind of message, but different approach.
Totally. Your way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this was a question from earlier. You said that you just kind of realized your sophomore year of college that teaching was a route that you'd want to go down for right now. When you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was like really young, actually, funny that you said that earlier, I actually wanted to be an astronaut. Yeah. And for a while when I was like in middle school, I wanted to be a lawyer, which is kind of why I did mock trial in high school. And someday I still might go to law school, who knows.
Exciting stuff.
And I also wanted to do interior design for a little bit. My dad really wanted me to go to art school, but I was very scared to go to art school because I was like, I'll never get a job or have money. But here I am teaching. So really, what's the difference? Anyways, but yeah, that was my like middle school kind of want to do thing.
Love that. And it's cool because things are changing always. You know, we're always figuring it out and cycling through. So
yeah, true.
So we've been focused on teaching and all of that jazz the whole time, but it looks like that you've been traveling a bunch and going to some national parks and different things. So that looks really cool. What other hobbies do you have other than being an awesome teacher, or what kind of things are you into doing other? You don't teach all the time.
Yeah. So yes, I just got back from going to Grand Teton National Park with my dad. I've been to quite a few national parks, and I would say I'm actually a geography minor when I was in college. So I could technically teach geography too if I wanted to. But I do very much enjoy national parks. That's like one of my favorite things. Obviously, that's not something I can do every other day. But it is, if I have the opportunity to, something I really enjoy. And I also, hobby-wise, I really enjoy rock climbing. That's like one of my newer kind of things I like to do.
Cool.
And I also enjoy yoga. I like yoga too.
Yeah, totally a great way to decompress. When you guys go to the national parks, is it like you like to hike, you like to take pictures and check it out? Your vibe when you do that? That's like, I want to go to all the national parks so badly, but I haven't gone yet. Where I'm going to the Everglades in Florida, actually.
Oh, cool.
Haven't been there before in August, but I'm hoping to go to one either by the end of this year, like West Coast, or early next year, but I haven't gone yet, so we'll see.
I've actually never been to the Everglades. I moved to Florida like 2 years ago, so I've never been. But in regards to national parks, the hiking is the big thing for me. I like pictures. I like to take a few pictures just to, document that I was there. But I'm not really into photography when it comes to national parks. I very much am someone who just wants to hike. So I want to get out there as away from as many people as possible.
Get that. Love that for you. That's great.
Yeah.
Just have some time to breathe, decompress, do your thing. Totally. Do you apply the experiences from your hobbies and travel into your classroom?
Yes, I do. That's a good question. Oh, I see that. Okay.
That was not a good question. Take credit.
I very much do. If you go into my classroom, I mentioned that like when I was in middle school, I wanted to be an interior designer. My classroom is very much designed. Not necessarily like elementary school, like how a lot of you have themes,
Right.
Which is cool, and people get very into that. Mine is more everything that just didn't fit into my apartment or college has now moved to my classroom. But I will say I do put a lot of effort into how it looks. For mainly, to be completely honest, for me, because I have to be there so often. I
Sure,
want it to be
absolutely.
on someplace I enjoy coming in, because I know if I enjoy it, the students will enjoy it as well. I have a lot of kids who come into my classroom and are always like, I wish we were in your room. Like, it's so cool. And like, that's always, you know, nice to hear. And I get a lot of kids that tell me they just feel very comfortable in my classroom, which I know is not obviously solely based off of the room decor, but I think it's something that adds to the atmosphere and something I just kind of enjoy doing. So I do put a lot of like my own style into that. I have a lot of like national park. Oh, look at this. I went to a garage sale when I was in Michigan. I got these like national park postcards. This was just like sitting right over here. And I'm going to go hang them in my classroom. So like things like that, like little things like that, I tend to do. I have like a bunch of maps in my classroom because I'm a geography minor and I like that kind of stuff. I also, I said I like to do yoga. I've done yoga with my students before in class. It's kind of like a joke. It's like a running joke at this point that like at some point you'll have to do yoga in Mr. Privette's class. But like it is fun. We do it. Like I made my online kids do it too. Like we do fun stuff like that. So yeah, I would say some of my hobbies, not all of them, but some of them I like to, you know, I like the kids to know what I tell them too. Whenever I ask them on Mondays, what did you do over the weekend? I'll tell you what I did over the weekend too.
Well, you're going to be that teacher that they remember. I was talking with my dad the other day, and he was literally like, he remembered a teacher that, like, my siblings and I all had that was so good. And then he just remembered, like, his third grade teacher or something from so long ago. But then they're going to remember their ninth grade English teacher and just be like, you know, and that's awesome. And you do spend so much time in there. It's just like creating your bedroom or your apartment, like your space. You want to be there. You want to be there.
Yeah, I highly suggest to teachers, like, and I know it's financially sometimes can cost more. So I don't have every tip and trick for that. But like if you can put some amount of your style or things you enjoy in your classroom, I really do think it helps. Not only your motivation, but it makes the kids feel comfortable. And it doesn't always have to be, I know some people, especially elementary school teachers, I think a lot of them get stressed that like, hey, my classroom theme doesn't look as good as blanks or whatever. It doesn't always have to be like a theme. Like mine does not have a theme at all. It's just stuff I like. And I think you can curate it to make it look, you know, more put together if you want it that way or whatever. But like at the end of the day, it's literally stuff from my apartment. I didn't go like buy anything from Lakeshore Learning or like I didn't do all that. I've actually never stepped foot in there. But like you don't have to do all that stuff if you don't want. Like if you just put stuff you like in there, like the kids will like that too.
Yeah, and they gravitate towards you. And I definitely agree. There's definitely ways some teachers will put in so much money, but there's definitely ways to use things that you already have or DIY certain things to kind of make it easy and not so expensive. You just have to try.
Yeah, I think too, I didn't put too much money in decor wise just because like I said, I brought a lot of the stuff that I have in there and I was really into decor before. So it's not always like the most in trend stuff because it's like from my college days, but it does look nice together, I think. What I will say though, and this goes for teachers across the board, is this is what I put too much money into, is my classroom library. I've spent an embarrassing amount of money in my classroom library. But that's worth it.
It's important, and especially when you have kids who don't like to read, you might be able to assist them in finding a good book.
Yes. Oh, and I'm very, like, my classroom library probably has about 500 books in it. Like, I have a pretty big classroom.
How long have you been teaching for?
This is, okay, so I've only had my classroom library for 1 year. I got all my books last summer. Okay. Like, and I started from zero.
Okay.
So you can do it. But, like, I have, like, almost 500 books in my, and I have it all in an Excel sheet. It's all ready to go. And I have it divided out by genre, and it's really cool. And when you do put effort into it, the kids can definitely tell. Like when you go to my classroom library, it's not a bunch of dusty books that like, you know, nobody wants to read. It's like real books that are good and current. And like, I think, I mean, obviously not every kid picks up a book in there, but the kids that do want to read, like I have a lot of kids that are really excited about my classroom library because they know they can go in there and find something they like. And I think that's important.
Totally. Absolutely is. This is actually really great because I was going to ask you, for anyone who's a big reader or wants to read this summer, do you have any book recommendations at the moment?
Oh, that's a good one.
For a summer read or for whenever.
Yes, actually I do. Let me see. I have, well, my first of all, my recommendations are a little biased just because I have a certain genre that I really like to read. My favorite is African American literature. That's like my 10 out of 10 go-to. I will always choose that. I just finished, before I went home for this trip that I went on, I finished Stamped. I don't know if you've read that. It's by Ibram Kendi. It's a critical race theory book. Now, if you want to listen to it on Spotify, it's free. And you can listen to the whole book. Now, the Ibram Kendi one is like this big. Now, he has a version that is mixed with Jason Reynolds, who is the author that I told you about earlier. They like combined, and they wrote a YA version. Now, it's supposedly YA, but it's really like, I was still taken back at parts. It's still a very in-depth read, but it's said through Jason Reynolds because he does a very good job at speaking to children and the youth. But I loved it. And I just read that before I left, and I would like highly recommend that to any teacher, but really anybody that is interested in that stuff.
Cool.
I would also, I'm going to keep going. I can recommend some other things.
Yeah, sure. You have a couple more?
Yeah, I would also recommend The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. That was a 2017 Pulitzer Prize winning book. He's also an African-American author. And the reason why I recommend that, I didn't read it recently, but I've read it and I want to say it now because there is an Amazon Prime series, a show that is based off of the book, and it's like highly, like very good. Like
What's
NPR,
the show called?
It's The Underground Railroad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's literally just the retelling of the book. And I'm really glad they broke it up into a series rather than like a movie because you get the whole story. So yeah, so that would probably be my other one that I would recommend. Or The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. That one's good too.
Colson. Is it Colson or Colton?
Colson. Colsen.
Colson Whitehead?
Yep.
What was it? I have Stamped, Underground Railroad, and what's the third one?
The Nickel Boys.
Cool. I'll put these on the chat too, like afterwards. I'll put them on the notes so people can check them out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So if you could describe yourself in 3 words, it can be words that you think other people would use to describe you or words that you would use about yourself. What would they be and why?
Okay, I know you sent me these questions. This is the one question I like actually had to pre-prep for because I'm always awful at this kind of question. So
that is why most people are. And then someone said to me, because some people want the questions and some don't. And someone was like, "Oh shoot, I know you sent this to me and I didn't know what to do."
Well, you sent them.
It's trying to get you to think about yourself.
No, yeah. When you sent them, I just looked over them and I was like, "Can I answer all these?" Pretty much. And I'm glad I did because if you were to ask me that right now, I would have no clue what to say. So I picked 3. Okay, you ready? I picked authentic, ambitious, and adaptable. Oh, those are pretty good.
Those are really
authentic,
good.
Mainly because I feel like when you talk to me, you get what you get. I'm pretty straight up for the most part. If you talk to me,
the whole time.
Yeah, if you talk to me in my classroom versus when I'm meeting with my boss, it's pretty much the same. Like there's not, I mean, obviously I can change my tone of voice sometimes and the content that we're talking about, but you can, like, it's not very different. I said ambitious. I don't know. I like to take things on. I do quite a bit at my school. Like I was a class sponsor this past year too. And I was like a coach for a club that wasn't started before. I also moved to Florida when I graduated college. I was like, I'm getting out of Michigan, and I just picked everything up and left.
Sorry, I was about to sneeze. It didn't come out.
No, you're good. You can sneeze. And then so I also said adaptable, just because I feel like most teachers are, especially with this past year. But I don't tend to let those things. I'm pretty good with change and those kind of things. Like I can take the punches pretty well.
Yeah, I think those are actually, okay, first of all, really, really good words, especially to be saying them about yourself. I always ask this question. Obviously, each person's like business or what they're up to is different, so the questions are always different, but this is one I always ask because it makes people think about themselves, right? And oftentimes we're focused on what other people think about us or just other people in general, like we forget about ourselves, so it's really important. But I have gotten all the authenticity from you from the beginning. I feel like you're keeping it real, you're doing your thing, and you're great. I can only imagine how the teachers the teachers, the kids connect to you, and we need more yous, like in general. So that's great. The adaptability and just being flexible, right? As a teacher or just a human in life, like things are not always going to go your way, and you really have to be okay with it.
Yep.
Even if you're not, you have to figure it out so that you are, because realistically, you don't even make plans. You just don't even make plans because they're going to change. So why waste your time? It's truly just
me and we said this about ourselves sometimes. It's like, we are the people that, like, when we say we're just going to do something, we don't always know how we're going to do it, but like we literally have to make it happen.
Just figure it out.
Like, we can be realistic about it, but like we'll make it happen if we say we're going to do something. No ifs, ands, or buts. We do it.
No, but even if you get stressed for a quick second, it always
it might be a miserable process sometimes, but we'll make it happen. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. And like where they're figuring out, like I said earlier, they're figuring out the summer school situation, and I'm doing ESY, which is all friends with special needs. And I started out with 10 kids and now I have 17. And so it's just like, it'll be fine. It'll be great. And I know some of them and I love them, and they'll have fun. They will succeed. It will be wonderful, you know, and they will want to be there and learn, and it'll be great. But today was just very stressful. Like there was a lot going on, and we will make it happen.
Do you have support in that room?
Yeah, there's 3 other people, but then some of them we didn't know there was going to be some virtual, and now some students are virtual and online. It's a whole connection, like I said. So, and it's just very last minute because it starts on Tuesday.
Well, I will tell you too, if you can get through this, your first year will be not a breeze, but you will be able to do your first year, because I will tell you, like, so this is like my second full year teaching. I've never had a normal year. My first year I started was mid-year in February. I just jumped into a classroom. And then the next year ended because of COVID. And then obviously this year was a big fat mess. So like this next year, if all goes as planned, will be like my first normal year.
Right.
So, and I will say though, like, if I almost wish this COVID year was my first year, because it's all different and up in the air anyways. So like it was going to be a mess no matter what, where like I feel like my first year was miserable because it was my first year, which is just, it's a lot of work for that reason. But then on top of that, the second I thought I had my bearings gathered for any means, then COVID happens and we had to do virtual and that stuff. And then, so it just felt like I had to redo my first year all over again. So I don't know. You'll be okay.
When you guys go back, it'll be fine. I'm just taking deep breaths and being flexible. When did you guys go back in person?
So we were in person all year. So we taught asynchronously. So I taught, the beginning of the year was about 50-50. So half of the kids are in person and half of them were online. But we did it at the same time. So the kids are on video cameras.
The hybrid. That's how we did it.
Okay. Yeah, but we didn't break it up though. So like my first period wasn't like in person and my second period was virtual. It was, you have kids in class and kids are watching you through the video camera at the same time. Miserable.
That's what we were doing too, but we didn't have any kids in person at all until March. So everyone was entirely.
I kind of wish we would have done that. I know it's miserable no matter what. I don't want to take that away from you, but like it was so frustrating. Like behavior management is like almost impossible to do when you have to teach online and in person.
Yeah.
Like it is literally impossible. Like I don't know how I'm supposed to walk around the room when I can't step 2 feet away from my desk because the video camera's sitting there.
Well, like, how many of your kids kept their cameras on? Because it was a rule here that you couldn't tell them to keep their camera on.
So it was a rule. Well, it wasn't said at the beginning at all. And then we made it a rule that said you had to have your camera on or else you'd be marked absent. So you didn't have to,
because they didn't do that.
Yeah, you didn't have to necessarily talk, but you had to have your camera on. And then they took that away. And which is fine, whatever. I want kids to be comfortable. So like, I don't want you to feel like you have to have your camera on. I tried to get them because I wanted them to, be a part of class. But like the reality of it was that it just wasn't going to happen. So a lot of the kids did not. So as long as they like had put something in the chat for the day and like I knew they were kind of there, I just marked them present. I mean, at the end of the day, they chose, for our district, they chose to do online learning. So like if you want to do it, you're going to pay attention and ask questions. And the majority of that is in my classroom. So that's where I had to put my focus.
No, absolutely. My brother's just graduated from high school, and he'd be in class, and there's like, what, 20 kids in the class, 25 kids, I don't know. All of them had their camera off. Every single one.
Oh, yeah.
The teacher is just talking to blank screens.
Oh, yeah. See, the only class that we didn't have that was my debate class. A lot of those kids would turn their cameras on and like actually talk to me. And they would actually, this was wild. They would actually talk to each other in the group, like the chat all the time, which I didn't, I, for the most part, they're pretty appropriate. So I like didn't block that and say like they can only talk to me. Like I would let them, they would make jokes
Right.
all the time. I would like once in a while, like when the kids are talking in class, I would like chime in into like one of the chat jokes that like only us are talking about. Like I'd bounce back and forth between all of it. Like it was pretty fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And once you get the kids engaged, but that it's just been really hard to be able to do that this year. It's just
Yeah, a mess actually.
Yes. So, but it's almost over, so we're good. And your third word was ambitious. I go getter. I am like that too. Like, go after your dreams. Never stop dreaming big. You know, something you don't want to do it anymore. Pivot, figure it out. You got it. The world is your oyster. You can do whatever the heck you want. So don't ever limit yourself. But teaching's a really great place to be, and you're killing it. So good for you. Just in regards to teaching or just things in general, what would you say your goals are for the future?
Well, I feel like for me, like in my real life too, I feel like I've just like met a point where I got to all my goals. Like I feel like I'm
Yep.
at a school that I like and I'm established there and I moved to Florida, which was one of my not necessarily Florida, but when I was in school in Michigan, I wanted to leave Michigan so bad. So like even just being out here for me is a pretty big goal that I reached. And I live with my best friend who's also from Michigan. So like we did that as well. So like I feel like for me, a lot of those goals have been kind of met. I don't really know honestly what my goals are going further. I do think in terms of what I teach right now, I'm very comfortable with the material and I like the material that we teach. Like I said, the mock trial thing is new. Um,
Yep.
it's going to be brand new to me. So I really do want to work. We got second at districts this year, and I really want to win districts so we can go to states. So like I want to put a lot more effort into that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. I also this isn't really a goal, but I post on TikTok like I told you, and I think that's where you found me. I'm not like
I think it probably is too. I just sent my voice memo and I'm like, I think it is too.
yeah, and
It
I
would
think
make more sense. It would make more
yeah,
sense.
because I don't really have like a following on Instagram or anything. Like
It
I'm
would
not,
make more I think it was
yeah.
on TikTok too.
So I do like posting on there. That's like a creative outlet for me, and it's fun, and it's like lets me step back from the reality of teaching sometimes. So
Absolutely.
I hope to put like more work into that this year because I feel a lot more comfortable with that, and it's fun. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
such a fun platform and a great way to be creative and be you, right? People,
yeah.
I learned so much from TikTok. It's insane. This morning, I had like a clip in my hair and I was at school today and this girl says to me, she was like, did you get that clip? I'm not trying to like be nosy and ask, but like, is that clip off of a TikTok trend? And I said, because I guess she'd seen some video and I was like, actually, no, this one's not. But I was like, ask me tomorrow about something or like what I made for my lunch or like something else. Probably is. Definitely learning from TikTok all the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Well, Amos, this has been so awesome. Seriously, I'm so glad that we got to connect and thank you so much for chatting with me. I will send you a YouTube link so that you can check out our interview and it'll also be on IGTV on my Instagram. And you're amazing, a shining star, killing it in this teaching world and everything that you're doing. It's really exciting to say that you've accomplished so many of your goals. And now, of course, you'll build more over time, but that's like a really, really big thing.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
congratulations with that. You're welcome. Do you, just to kind of end it out and finalize everything, do you have any tips for people just regarding going after their dreams and being the best version of themselves?
Yeah, I think especially in regards to teaching too, but this is in
Yeah,
general too. Like I said, and I feel like we've kind of said this the whole way through. Is like I feel like you just have to kind of be yourself and be okay with that. And I think that's like a very blanket statement and like a very safe statement, but that's like really hard to do for a lot of people.
very
Um,
much.
I think people, especially nowadays, especially younger generations, are buying into authenticity and just being a real person and a real human. And sometimes that has ups and sometimes that has downs. And like, especially in the profession we're in, I feel like a lot of times we're told to not show any of that kind of emotion. Um, yeah, when I have a bad day, I let my kids know, and they, they reach out to me, and they do feel bad for you because they have those kind of relationships. So when you can show them the good times and when you can show them the not so great times, whether it's your boss or your students or your friends, I think people really respect that and they appreciate it, and they like the sincerity of it all. So I think I would say, yeah, just continue to, be yourself and actually don't feel like you have to change for people.
No, I think that's perfectly said, and you're right, 100%. And not just in the teaching profession, like you said, just in general. Be real. Just figure out who you are, and don't worry about what other people.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I did not know you were a teacher. That's so cool to find out.
Yeah, I know. So we could connect in so many ways. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I will be in touch shortly. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Bye. Have a good one. Bye.